Hey guys, it's Jen and I'm back with another stamping and scrapbooking video. Today I wanted to recreate the look of this printable. This printable is in my shop at CraftyJenScout.com, but I really wanted to recreate this look of a circle that has white inside of it, but there's color all around the outside. And this would be kind of hard to achieve without some, careful painting or whatever, but I'm going to show you an easy way to do this. So I'm really recreating this look. I have this scribble stamp from Close to My Heart, and I can't remember what the name is right now, but I will look it up and be sure to put it in the video description below. And then I'm going to use this stamp that says Picture Plus Stories. This is an old Scraptastic stamp set from when I used to be in the Kit Club, and you cannot purchase this anymore, but it's one of my favorites. And I'm just going to create a little journaling card, and I'm using some watercolor paper. And what I'm going to do is just stamp that circle. I'm going to just stamp it at the top. Just inking it up with some black ink. Now I'm using a water resistant ink, but that's not necessary. You can use any kind of ink because we're going to cover it up with masking fluid. And I'll show you that here in just a second. So I'm just going to wipe that off. Get my next color, or my next stamp. Stamp that inside. So now I've got my messy circle, and I got my words inside of it, and that looks good. And then there's plenty of room for me to journal below it. And now what I want to do is just paint this with masking fluid. And anywhere that I paint the masking fluid, whatever I add on top of it, it will keep whatever's underneath the masking fluid clear from that. And so what I'm going to do, this is just any masking fluid that you can get. I got this at Hobby Lobby in the fine arts section. You can get it at Michael's as well. I will link to where you can find it online too. I'm just going to use a paintbrush, and I'm just going to paint it on. And it is yellow. When it dries, it becomes an even darker yellow. So I'm just going to paint this on. And I'm doing a sort of thick coat just so that I can be sure that I cover all of the spots. I don't want any areas to remain uncovered because I want that centerpiece to be pretty much untouched by the ink I'm going to put all around this. I'm just getting the outside. Now, of course, you could do the same technique without masking this off, but then you won't get that nice white in the center. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. And then I'll come back and show you how we're going to finish this off. Okay, so now we've got this all dry, and you can tell it's dry because the yellow turns a little bit of a darker shade and it becomes tacky to the touch. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, well, I guess I have one little spot that's not completely dry. That's okay. It's extra thick right there. I'm going to use the packaging technique to add some color to this, and I'm just using some Tattered Rose Distress ink. I might pull in a little bit of Abandoned Coral, but I'm going to see how the Tattered Rose looks. It is my favorite distress ink by far, and I'm just going to spritz that with a little bit of water. And you can see it pooled up on there. I'm just going to rub it together to kind of get the ink all going, and then I'm just going to press it onto the card. You can see just giving a little bit of a color there. Now that's very, very light. I'm going to do this around the whole card, and then I'll come back in, I think, with a little bit of Abandoned Coral and add some more color right around the circle, because I want it, since it's going to be white underneath the circle, or rather off-white because the watercolor paper isn't completely white, I want it to stand out. So I'm going to put the Abandoned Coral right around that circle so that it definitely stands out. And I want there to be kind of some splotchiness and uneven edges, because that's what gives it a little bit of character. And that helps you to know it's not just a single color, like it's not just a color, it's a watercolor look that I'm going for. So let's get a little bit of abandoned coral. Now there's still a little bit of tattered rose on my little sheet here, and I don't want the abandoned coral. It's a very vibrant reddish pink, and I really don't want it to be too red because I don't want it to look like blood or anything like that, which is always an issue for me when doing red misting or inking of any sort. I really don't want it to look like blood. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of the tattered rose, just soften that color up a little bit, and we'll just put this down. You can kind of see that it's kind of going everywhere, which is okay. I really want to concentrate it up towards that circle, but it's okay. Like, even if it looks kind of crazy right now, when it dries, it'll look really pretty. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry, and then we'll peel off that masking fluid. Okay, so this is looking really pretty now that it's dry, but I'm going to add a little bit of Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine. And rather than dropping little droplets like I usually do, I just kind of want an all over shine to this, and so I'm just going to spray it. Just making sure to shake that up really good so that it comes out nicely. I'm just going to spritz it a few times so it gets a nice all over shine to it. And you can see when I move it in the light, you can already see it, a little bit of that shine. And in real life, it just really looks very pretty. I do sometimes like to do the packaging technique with my gold mist, and it just gives a really cool look. So I'm going to do that a little bit here too. Just add it into these little areas. I'm going to spread it around quite thin. Okay. So I'll go ahead and let that dry now. Okay, so now I've got my gold, which is dry, and you can see the pretty shimmeriness that it gives to this. And now we're going to peel up and do the big reveal. Let's hope everything goes well and see how this looks. So you can see that you can just kind of roll it up with your finger. And I can see already I've got a little area where it's peeling up the paper a bit. So I'm just going to be kind of careful as I'm peeling this off. Now, lately I have been just using my Molotow masking pen. If you've watched any of my hand lettering videos, I've used this pen recently. This seems to peel up better for me than what this is. This is pulling up a little bit of the paper, but it's still working. I can see that a little bit of the pink got underneath. But overall, I think it looks good. So I'm just going to go with it. There's a few places where it did pull up the paper there, and I'm just going to fill it in with a pen. So I'm going to just show you quickly. I'm going to be using this photo of my daughter. This is a Valentine's Day box that she made. She was obsessed with zebras at the time. I have some zebra products that I know that people have had a hard time using that I'm going to try to use, but I also want to show you that just getting your stamps used in your scrapbooking doesn't mean that you have to do a ton of stamping. So for now, my plan is to just use this as my stamping. If I end up incorporating more, that will just happen naturally, but I don't have plans to. And I wanted to just let you know that that's okay. You're still using your stamps, even if you just use them like one as kind of a focal area, or as a prompt for journaling, or whatever it might be. So, and that's totally fine to just use your stamps that way. You're still using them. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of my stuff together to create this layout, and we will go ahead and get started. Okay, so my camera battery died, and rather than sit there and wait for it to charge, I did do a little bit of prep work on the layout that I'm creating. So like I mentioned, I'm using this photo of my daughter. This is on Valentine's Day last year, and at the time she was obsessed with zebras, which is perfect because I can use up some of these zebra icons that came in some of the most recent collections that people were having a hard time using. So this is from the Maggie Holmes Shine collection chipboard sheet, which looks like this, and I just pulled that zebra out, and I'm going to use that on this layout. And I've just cut a couple of strips of patterned paper from the new Crate Paper Hello Love line, and that paper is that's the same paper front and back, so it's got the hearts on this side and then the stripes on this side, and it's called You and Me. And I thought the stripes would be perfect to go along with the whole zebra thing without being too literal. This is the literal interpretation though. So I've got the 4x6 photo, the 4x6 card that I created, and then a couple of strips on the sides. And so that's kind of how the layout of this page is going to go. Now, of course, you could, if you had two 4x6 photos, you could swap this card out for a photo and make this a 2-photo layout. But this is how I'm creating this. Again, I'm going to do my journaling here. I thought about cutting down this photo because there's a lot of space above my daughter's head, but instead I decided that I would overlap my title onto the photo. So what my title is going to be is Zebra Love, and I thought love because it's Valentine's Day, and obviously zebras because there's zebras. And so I'm thinking about between a couple of different things for the love. So I have the Hello Love stickers from Crate Paper, which I could use. There's this word love here, which would bring in the gold that I used on this card. Or there's this word love here that I could use. There's that word love there. I also have these thickers which came out with the Maggie Holmes Shine collection, and so I have the word love in thickers there. Now I like the idea of doing it in gold and then doing the word zebra in black, and so to kind of go along with kind of a hand-drawn font, I pulled out these Cal Barteschi alphabets that are from a super old Amy Tangerine sticker sheet, and so I'm thinking of using these for the word zebra. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put you back on fast forward and let's finish up this layout, but that's kind of what I've done so far and what my thoughts are, and this is really going to not be very much more before it's complete.
So I went back and forth a lot on the title, but I decided to cut that out so you didn't have to watch me do that. I ended up landing on that foam thicker word love that's from the Maggie Holmes Shine collection, and the word zebra, those letter stickers are from Close to My Heart, and I like the way that the word zebra can nestle in next to where the L comes up, and I like to do that quite often. If you've watched my videos, you probably know that about me. And I'm just kind of using the top of the photo as a guideline for where my letters go. So I'm just going to adjust that a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and get those layers stuck down. I kind of know where I want things to go, so I don't want to go too long without adhering things. I find when I have layers like this, it's easier to adhere the layers together and then put them all on the background so that I can move that around and center it on the background, make sure I've got everything lined up correctly. Now, I did take the sticky off the back of that chipboard zebra, so I'm just adding a little bit more of adhesive, and I pulled out these Dear Lizzie thickers that one has an envelope on it, and I thought that was perfect because this was her box for her Valentine's. And then I'm just adding a few stickers from the Maggie Holmes Shine, which has some plus signs, which goes perfectly with the stamp that says Pictures Plus Stories. I'll pull a few of those here in a minute. I'm also pulling Sweet and Love, and that flower came from the new Crate Paper Hello Love collection sticker set there. And I'll pull a few more hearts off of that sticker sheet as well. So now I'm just looking for another pop of that kind of deep pink or that bright red color. And then I found this wreath, and I thought I could mimic the circle that's on the journaling card and just put that right above the title. And I like the way that looks. I thought about including the other half of it, but I decided not to. And again, that's from the Hello Love sticker sheet that I have there. I'm going to pull a few other heart stickers, and I'm going to put that one on some foam squares in a minute. But I'm also going to pull some chipboard. I felt like I wanted another chipboard piece since I have that zebra. I always like to include the different elements more than once on the layout. Sorry about that little interruption. My nephew was FaceTiming me, and I can't say no to that. So now I'm just looking for another way I can incorporate some hearts. I found this little tiny glitter heart, and it looked so cute when I put it on top of that chipboard envelope. And so it stays there. And then I added those little plus signs. And that's pretty much going to finish this off. I'm going to come back and talk to you in real time about how I end up finishing this up.
Okay, so I decided to do just a little bit more stamping, and I'm just using this little tiny heart that comes on the same stamp set as the circle, the scribble circle heart that I used for this part of the layout. And I'm just going to stamp it around, kind of mostly sticking to the clusters that I've already created. And I'm just going to stamp it a few times here or there, overlapping it in some places. On the papers, off the papers. And just kind of adding a little bit to the background that way. I think I'm going to add just a few more randomly. I think I want more, and if I mess up like this and it's just a little tiny bit, I'm just going to go and fill that in with a pen, because because this is such a thin stamp, it's going to be hard to get it just right again, and so I'm just going to fill it in with my pen later. So I decided I'm just going to go all around the photos, and I am getting a lot of ink on this block, and it's gonna get, it got on my photo right here a little bit, so I'm just going to be a little bit more careful. And this is kind of a lot. You could definitely stop sooner than this, but I'm okay with it. I kind of like that there's just another something. It's not adding a ton of visual weight because the hearts are open, and so it's just adding a little bit of something. And I think I'm just going to actually do it on the entire background. And just, I'll concentrate them towards the photos, but they'll just kind of be here and there outside of that area. So there we go.
So here are some close-up photos of the final layout. I did end up adding some splatters of the Heidi Swap Gold Color Shine, and that's going to call this complete. I hope that you've enjoyed and that you'll check out my blog for more information at CraftyJenScow.com. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll come back with our final video next week. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon.